When the fire of a yogi's life is burning brightly, she is a beacon of light radiating balance and peace to the world. So that to me says if you know that you're here for big things, what better purpose than to do all you can to make sure that your light, your fire is burning so that you can be that beacon that radiates balance and peace for the rest of the world. So we need to take care of our energy body too, our spiritual body, our soul, because that's where our purpose is coming from. That's what's guiding us. It's the light and love energy that we are made up of. And if we go into usually an unconscious, unintentional, at least humanly unconscious separation from that purpose, that's when we become depressed. That's when we find it hard to get the fire burning within again. Welcome to the Fire Within podcast, helping you to remember and embrace who you really are and turn the spark within you into a full, burning, soul-led fire. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 219. And this is pulled from a spontaneous day 4 that I did of the Fire Within 2.0 challenge last week. Because when we got done with day 3, my brain wouldn't shut up, and I realized I still had a lot more to say. And I even encountered something the next morning in going through my yoga teacher training that kind of tied everything all together in a nice, pretty bow, is how I say it in the video. And I wanted to share on the podcast to make sure that even if you didn't get a chance to see it, that you make sure you catch it. We got a little serious. I got kind of personal with sharing some experiences from the past in growing up and kind of the start of my confidence journey and why I want to help others. And once I move through the story, I share some hopefully inspiring quotes for you and share some, I guess, tips, guidance, some hopes on helping you possibly move through similar times, moments, experiences in your life, whether you're actually in that same place that I describe in my story or not, or whether you're just going through some repeating patterns, some struggling, but it's not that deep, or whether it is that deep. Hopefully, what I shared in this day 4 will truly help to spark the fire within. And just a side note, if you do go into the Fire Within Facebook group, which if you're not in there, I encourage you to join. The link is in the show notes. You can still catch the recordings of all 4 days. They will be coming down. My intention is to get them down and turn them into a paid offer by the end of the week. You might luck out and get a couple extra days. Because the next few days I know are going to be kind of busy for me, but I'm going to do my best to stay on task. But nonetheless, they absolutely for sure are coming down. So if you want to catch them while it is still inside the group, make sure you do that. If you go to day 4, you'll find that day 4 is broken up into 3 sections because there were a lot of child interruptions. Which once I take the videos down, I will probably go in and trim those sections out of the video, but as of right now, they're still in the video. But I believe I was able to edit them pretty seamlessly for this audio portion. So you're not going to hear any of the kid interruptions in this audio version right now. So right here is all of those days together in one shot, no interruptions. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope you find it inspirational. If you do, please share it. Please make sure that you tag me on Instagram when you do at I am Carrie Jokala. And make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and a positive review to help boost this show in the podcast algorithm as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this. Here we go. It's day 4, and today's going to be probably a lot more serious. My brain just kept going yesterday, and I'd have been better if I had been able to. I didn't have any other time, but if I would have had time to just hop back on at some point yesterday, I would have just done it because the wheels were going. I took some notes, but we'll see. Hopefully I can string all my thoughts back together in a way that makes sense. But I wanted to talk a little bit about when it really feels like that fire has gone way down. What do you do then? And I don't know that I necessarily have full tips for that because I'm not a therapist. So if you're in that space, I do highly encourage you to seek the proper help that you need. But energy work, Reiki, going into your Akashic Records, or even just something like this can be a beautiful addition to whatever else you feel you need. And I found something today also that I just hope will inspire you and kind of put everything wrapped up together with a nice pretty bow. Because I've been slowly going through a yoga teacher online training course, and I came across something today that was incredibly relevant and really does wrap everything up in a nice pretty bow from what we've been talking about the last couple of days. So one thing that I'm not sure that I mentioned, at least not explicitly, you may have felt like I alluded to it in other things that I've said throughout this challenge, but I believe that a big reason we fall into these ruts where the fire dies down, the fire goes away, we just can't get ourselves going no matter what we try. I've been in that space. I've really been in that space a couple of times. And I believe that it's because we have lost our sense of purpose. I have been there where it really doesn't matter, all of the things that bring you joy. So we talked about doing things that bring you joy, that spark your creativity again yesterday. But what if you're in that space where you just can't get yourself to do those things? My hope and my idealistic brain says that if you can do your best to start some sort of a routine, not force, but kind of make yourself commit to doing one thing, no matter how small, just to get yourself going, just to bring a little bit of the spark back. Just some of my own personal story. So I was never given an official depression diagnosis, but when I was preteen, early teen years, I'm positive that I had depression because I had all of the symptoms. Nothing made me want to get out of bed. I would because I felt like I had to, and I really wanted to try to pretend like everything was okay, but I felt like nothing mattered. Why would it matter? Why should I bother doing anything that brings me joy? Why should I bother writing? I wanted to be a writer at the time. Why should I bother writing anything, trying to ever get anything published? Because what does it matter? What's the point if we're all going to die? That was my unfortunate mindset at the time. And I did always, nonetheless, have at least this little spark of some kind of hope inside of me that wanted to get through this, that wanted to get to the other side, that didn't want to feel like this anymore. And I didn't want to have to do it by myself, but I kind of ended up having to. I did ask my mom to find a psychiatrist for me to see because I didn't know what else to do. And I don't remember exactly how many sessions I had with this guy. I kind of think I might have only had 2, maybe 3. But I was done with him just a few minutes into the first session. He was not the nicest person. And he actually laughed out loud at me 4 words into my first sentence to him. And basically told me that it was impossible for me to be depressed from the way I started that sentence. Basically, so I won't go into the whole story because I actually did a podcast interview that I was just informed is going to be released on Tuesday, where I go really far into the story about why I got to that point, being left out, being made fun of. In the podcast that's coming out, that's not mine. I was a guest on someone else's podcast, and I go real far into the story. But the brief summary of that is I'm a storyteller, if you couldn't tell. And I didn't know exactly where to start when he asked me whatever his first question was. Maybe it was, what do I think was causing it? I don't know, probably something like that. And what had really, I know this is going to sound weird, but with the state I was already in, I was already feeling depressed. And we went to see this movie with Robin Williams called Jack. And I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. I don't remember what the condition was, but basically his character had this condition that caused him to age at a very rapid rate. So basically by time he got to college, he physically looked like an old man who was in his 80s. And here I am already terrified in this weird in-between space of being so depressed that I didn't want to go on, but also being afraid of all of that and whatever would happen afterwards. And that, I knew it was just a movie, but it got my brain going and thrust me even deeper into these fearful, worrisome thoughts. And I remember I started off my sentence, it was in the movie Jack. He laughed and said, "You can't get depressed from a movie?" And I shut down after that. And long story short, I had to figure out how to help myself. I don't remember how the rest of the session went exactly. I went into student mode and I just gave him the answers that I figured would be the right answers to keep the session moving along. And I really don't know why it ended, because I know I didn't say anything. I don't know if he just assumed that I wasn't actually depressed and told my mom that I didn't need to be seen anymore. But that was the extent of it. And I ended up having to do my best to hold on to that spark, to keep myself going and figure out a way through it. And it was a long journey. It was kind of the start of what led me to where I am today, wanting to help others with their confidence, learning how to do Reiki, energy work, helping people remove those blocks, that sort of thing. But it all combined into a lack of purpose. And even as a kid, you can feel a lack of purpose. I've been there. I also had a lot of trouble with being seen. There's this weird, and I think I finally figured out what this is. So this is just me. Hopefully this is relatable for you. If it's not exactly the same thing, maybe you can find something that is similar in your own life. But for me, I love being the center of attention. I love entertaining people. I love teaching, talking to people. I have no problem getting up in front of, it doesn't matter how many people, no problems at all. Love it. But then I also have this kind of still deep-seated, that I've been working on all these years, this deep-seated kind of fear of being seen because of how I grew up, being made fun of so much. And essentially shutting down in a way, like wanting so badly to be seen, but at the same time knowing that if I'm too seen, or I'm too big of a personality, or I'm seen in the wrong capacity, I'll explain that, it's not safe. It's not safe to be seen because I risk being made fun of. And again, I can't fully describe it, but I feel like me being okay with being on stage is safe in a way because it allows me to get up and be seen. But there's also that kind of separation there where I'm not getting instant feedback necessarily. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like this separate thing. It's like me and then everybody else. And I can just go up, do my thing, and then go away. So basically, to sum that up, there's a lot to be said about soul contracts. And I think I've recently, is that dust or is that an orb? Did you see that there was something like up here? But I think I made a soul contract to stop myself from being seen. And I can see how that has shown up, how it has held me back in many ways. And you might have similar things in your life. You might have similar struggles that you've been dealing with, maybe consciously working on, maybe trying to ignore, to move past them. And you may have a soul contract that you created, possibly in this lifetime, that is perpetuating this same cycle. If you keep finding yourself repeating patterns, if you keep finding yourself in this cycle where the fire dies out and you have trouble getting it back up, there might be a soul contract around that. But I also wanted to share here, so what I found in my yoga teacher training today is this, hang on. Okay, this is, I would have to search through all of my notes. Like I said, I'm just really in the very beginning of this. I am 14% of the way in of a 200-hour yoga teacher training. So forgive me for not remembering what everything means, but this is one of the niyamas. Can't remember what that means. Trying to find it. Oh, okay. Yamas are principles of behavior in relationships and may be translated as restraints. Niyamas concern relationship with self and may be translated as observances. So this is one of the niyamas, and it is called tapas. And it translates, apparently, again, not an expert at this, just found this today. So if you know more than me, just bear with me. But it translates here from what I was reading to self-discipline and enthusiasm, which is the bow that ties everything together, especially what we talked about yesterday with having a routine, self-discipline, and doing the things that bring you joy, enthusiasm. So there's a couple quotes that were here, so I'm just going to read them. Living life with zeal and sincerity, the purifying flame is ignited, tapas, revealing the inner light. Definitions that make the subject of tapas relevant for all include enthusiasm and actually implementing a plan. Tapas is the practice of actually implementing our plan for self-improvement. I like this one. When the fire of a yogi's life is burning brightly, she is a beacon of light radiating balance and peace to the world. So that to me says if you know that you're here for big things, what better purpose than to do all you can to make sure that your light, your fire is burning so that you can be that beacon that radiates balance and peace for the rest of the world. And finally, I just thought this was interesting. As a verb, tapas means to heat, to glow, which is the name of my membership, to shine, to purify, to fire, the fire within, to change, to transform. So I guess I don't really have tips for you on drawing yourself out of that space beyond getting whatever mental help you know you might need. If you can find someone who aligns with you, hopefully. I know there's more than one psychiatrist, therapist out there. I just ran into somebody who is not for me at all and didn't bother trying again. But energy work, taking care of your energy, realizing that it is a bigger part of you than we give it credit for. We're so focused on the physical. We're focused on what's happening in our physical bodies, what's happening emotionally. And I feel like even if we do acknowledge our spiritual side and we're connected in our own way to our spiritual side, that we're not really, that we keep it separate still from the rest of us. And they all need to be balanced together. None of them can be outside of each other. So we need to take care of our energy body too, our spiritual body, our soul. Because that's where our purpose is coming from. That's what's guiding us. It's the light and love energy that we are made up of. And if we go into usually an unconscious, unintentional, at least humanly unconscious separation from that purpose, that's when we become depressed. That's when we find it hard to get the fire burning within again. So if we can be willing to commit to doing the spiritual work that needs to be done, not because we're broken or that there's anything wrong with us, but just to bring us back into alignment, to bring us into our full purpose so that we really can learn the lessons we're here to learn for our specific soul and ascend and grow and shine. So I think it just makes sense. We have to take those two things, self-discipline, and use that, allow that to be used to bring the enthusiasm back, to bring the focus back to where it needs to be, to bring everything back into alignment. Doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect or that we'll instantly have it all figured out, but we can get the fog to clear. We can feel safe in our bodies again. Our soul can feel safe in our bodies again. And we have to be willing to let ourselves be seen. You might not have that same soul contract that I do or that same fear, but I think a lot of us do. A lot of us are afraid to be seen as who we know we really are because there's so many outside expectations of what life should look like, of what our personal life should look like, with whoever we might have specifically to us that has certain expectations of us, or we think has certain expectations of us. There's societal expectations. There's just so much externally going on that causes us to dim our light. And it's time to stop allowing that. So I don't know if that made any sense, if that felt like any of that tied together. I hope it did. I do want to pull one card from the Work Your Light deck and make one more new invitation for you. We'll do the card first. Play. Have fun. Celebrate. Don't be so serious. We can't take life so seriously. We are here to learn lessons. We are here to grow and evolve. But the best way to do that is through joyful experience. And I can't remember anymore. I know I've talked about it, but I'm not even sure love is the highest vibration. I think it might actually be joy is higher than love. So we need to lean into, we're here to lean into our creativity, to lean into the things that light us up, pun intended, to lean into the things that bring us joy, that allow us to feel playful. So let's pull one more just for fun. Same message. Dance with life. Do something to change your energy. It's hard when you're in that low space. when you feel like there is no purpose anymore, when you have no purpose, when there's no point in doing anything. But if you're still here, I would hope that that means that there's still a spark within you that tells you that you have bigger things that you're here to do. So if you do something, anything, to change your energy and allow it to change your energy. Don't take it so seriously. Don't be so hyper-focused on how you're feeling and trying to hold on to those feelings. I know that sometimes when I'm sad or angry that I don't want to change my energy. And as always, I would never tell anyone to not feel what they're feeling. You must work through your emotions. You have to let yourself feel your emotions. But don't let them become your identity. Don't cling to it so much that this is just who you are now, because that's not true. And you're going to feel that loss of purpose. You're going to feel out of alignment if you're clinging to something that is not truly you. So I encourage you to be willing to do something to change your energy. And it doesn't matter what that is. So talked about the offerings yesterday to come learn Reiki with me. No matter what level you're at, I know there's a couple of you out there who are at different levels. So if you're ready for Reiki 1, we can jump into that. If you're looking to do Reiki 2 or Reiki 3, you can talk to me about those. The option to go into the new Beta Rise program, where we take you chakra by chakra, 1 week per chakra, to shift that energy for you and allow it to process so that you're really conscious of and noticing and feeling the effects and the changes and having constant guidance as we move through each chakra. But I've also been leaning more into this soul contract idea. So your Akashic Records. We've done this before. We've done a little bit with the Akashic Records, but I haven't really promoted those sessions much just because I haven't done a lot of them. But the ones that I have done have always been like mind-blowing, amazing. So I want to try with this new book that I started reading. So I went through a certification course, and then I just recently finished a completely separate book on soul contracts, which gave me some fresh perspective on it and how to handle them and how they may have been created, where they might have come from. Kind of changed my thoughts just a little bit. And I'd like to just try, I guess, a new method, like kind of my own blend of what I learned in the course that I did and then what I have picked up on now from this book. I have a soul contract of my own I would like to go in and break. The one about being seen. And I would like to offer that same thing to you, that same assistance. So I typically have been offering Akashic Records sessions the same as a Reiki session, so 111. And just for a little bit, just to kind of figure this out and see what happens, I am going to take it down, just the Akashic Records sessions, to $55 for a session. And we can go typically about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what it is, what we end up having to do, how long it takes to go into the records and do what needs to be done in the records. So if you've had any repeating patterns, repeating feelings, just struggles that you can't seem to break through, no matter what you do, no matter what kind of mindset work you do, no matter what kind of therapy you do, no matter what kind of even energy work that you do, no matter what you have tried, if you are still struggling, I'm not promising that I can be for sure what breaks it, but I'm hoping for you that that can be the final shift that needs to happen. And many of us can have multiple soul contracts. And again, doesn't mean there's anything broken with us. These are just lessons that we need to learn. So if this is coming up, it means you're ready. So let me know if that's something that you would be interested in doing. If any of this resonated with you, I would love if you would share it. So please Feel free to do a screenshot, a screen flow, share it to your social media. If you share it to Instagram, please tag me at I am Carrie Jokala. If you are also so inclined, it really helps in the podcast algorithm if you would leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. And if you're not already in the Fire Within Facebook group, make sure you join. You can find the links for everything in the show notes. And I would hope to see you for one or more of those. I'm seeing stuff floating by. Did you see that? Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.